You know, love, a pirate has to think on his feet and make many difficult decisions in a very quick amount of time. I remember one time I sailed the Black Pearl through the drive-through at Long John Silver's, and I had to decide whether I wanted extra hush puppies or extra coleslaw. Well, the decision we have to make here is almost as difficult. I have to decide which of these four functions goes with this lovely graph. And I think the best way to do that will be to just see what each function gives me if I were to graph it. So the first function is actually the most challenging one because it's got a negative in front of the x, which causes a reflection in the y direction. Actually, though, I suppose I could eliminate that one altogether, because we know that every logarithm starts out looking like this. So the fact that there's a negative in front of the x means that this logarithm, whatever else you do to it, is going to end up like this. And that's definitely not what we have. So I would say this is not a good choice to make. The second one, if we take the same logarithm we started with here, the basic shape of a logarithm, well, there's a negative in front of the word logarithm. That's going to flip things in the direction, in the y direction. It's going to flip them across the x-axis. So now my logarithm would be going like that. And that's definitely not what I see here, so I think we can cross out that choice. Now the third choice, love, I start with my original logarithm, and when I subtract 2 from x, that shifts it to the right, 2. Well, I don't think that's what's happening here, love, because otherwise my vertical asymptote would actually be at 2, and it's not, so I can cross that out. And I think it makes sense to choose this as my final answer, because if I start with the original logarithm, which looks very much like this, if I subtract 2, so 1, 2, even though I don't know exactly where that puts me, I definitely think subtracting 2 gives me something that looks much closer than any of the other graphs. So without actually plotting points, just by knowing how things flip or shift, you can determine which graph, which function you have for this graph, love.